how it saves lives, how it changes lives, talk about his nutrition, and then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about the business opportunity that comes with this, just briefly. And so, turn it over to you.
Sounds good. First of all, I want to say thank you, obviously, for everybody coming. We appreciate it. My son, my oldest daughter, they run the store, and so it's always an honor. It's always a pleasure to come and watch what they have started to build. We've really built some neat things, the teams that they're putting together, the work that they've done, the number of people that are starting to come in and say, you know, I've noticed a difference on this, or I've noticed a difference on this. So I think what you're going to see tonight, I know Anthony, you and it was Madeline, correct? Yes. You guys have seen this demonstration before, but there are others that haven't. Andrew, you have not.
I've seen it, yeah.
You have seen it, okay. Ken, Janice, you guys have not. What was the name? Sophia. I know, so you have as well? Okay, I know Kathy has. Mark? Not, okay. So we have kind of a mix. We have kind of a mix of some of you that have and some of you that have not seen this demonstration. So we also have a lot of people. We're doing Facebook Live tonight. What's up, Facebook? We have a lot of people that log on to that and watch from all around the world, because really what we're talking about here is something that is in fact changing the landscape of healthcare as we know it. You know, we hear a lot of things about healthcare when in reality what we really have is just a sick management system in place. Meaning that most of the money being spent on healthcare is usually spent after someone gets sick. It's spent after someone has diabetes. It's spent after someone has a heart attack. It's spent after someone has cancer. It's spent after the fact. What we want to try and teach is, how do we help people understand preventatively, how do we improve our quality of life? And that's really what both my company, Core Health Products, that I'm going to share a little bit about tonight, but also the Kangen water, and Kangen is actually just a trademarked name meaning back to origin. Okay, the name of the company is Enagic. Their United States headquarters is in LA, okay, Torrance, California. I'll be going there this weekend, spending some time out there. But the neat thing is, we're seeing more and more and more about this technology that really is changing the way that a lot of people, healthcare professionals included, are approaching improving the quality of life. So as we start out today, Cameron will get that up there. I always start out my presentation so that everybody has a little better understanding of me. I want you all to understand first and foremost that it's all about my family. Anything I can do to improve the quality of life for my wife and my kids, I definitely want to do that. Looks like we're having some problems with the TV, but that's okay. I've done this a couple of times throughout the past 20 plus years. So what I'm going to show you tonight, though, are really three distinct principles. I'm going to show you how we can alkalize ourselves, okay? And you might be thinking right now, well, I don't really know, is alkaline better than acidity? I will show you the difference between being more alkaline and being more acidic, and we can get this up there, because a lot of times people don't understand that cancer, as an example, is an acid-based disease. There's no disputing it. Okay? Now that doesn't mean that if you're alkaline you can't have cancer. It simply means that cancer in and of itself is an acid-based disease. Diabetes. Type 1 diabetes. It's an acid-based disease. Many of the other sicknesses, illnesses, and diseases that we see are also acid-based. So there is no disputing that if we can take our bodies, if that body is acidic, and make it more alkaline, that it does in fact improve our ability to reduce those negative factors that we get from things like pollution, pesticides, electromagnetic fields, stress. Anybody have any stress in their life?
No.
No. Yeah, I know you do. Okay? We all have stress in our lives, and unfortunately, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse the faster our lifestyle gets. It's a fast-paced life now. So there's more physical stress, there's more emotional stress, there's more environmental stress, and all of those stress factors have proven to cause an increased risk factor of disease. And then if we add on top of it acidity, we show that that risk factor is multiplied many times. So I want to start out by showing a couple of different things. I'm going to skip right past this. I've had the great honor of working with a lot of professional teams, a lot of organizations, from Charles Barkley to Derek Jeter to Yogi Berra to Coach Joe Torre. But I want to get to what we're really here for. What we're here for is to understand, how do we change that quality of life? Okay? Does everyone agree with me? And if you don't raise your hand. We're not here to just agree with everything that we hear. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. But I, for one, think that many of you are here because you agree with me that we are not getting healthier as a society, we are getting less healthy. Okay, would you agree with that? Some of you do, some of you don't. If you don't, that's okay. But I don't see us as a people getting healthier. I see us getting less healthy. There's more illnesses, more sicknesses, more diseases than we've ever before seen in the history of this world, yet there's more dietitians, there's more nutritionists, there's more fitness centers, there's more gyms, there's more information on the websites, there's more information in the papers, there's more information in every magazine you look at. Anywhere we go, you can learn something about health, but yet we're getting sicker and sicker. One of the things that is very seldom discussed and talked about is, how do we make our bodies alkaline? Before hearing about this company called Enzymes, had you ever even considered or thought if your body is too acidic or too alkaline? Anybody? Yeah, you had before. That's great. Most people, it never even crosses their mind that, well, maybe if I'm acidic, it causes me to be more sick. Maybe if I'm alkaline, I can improve my quality of life. But yet we hear everything about diet. Reduce your calories. Reduce your carbohydrates. Eat more protein. Eat a high fat. We hear all of these different things. I'm going to show you tonight how we want to address the largest component of our body. Someone tell me, what is the largest component of our body? H2O. H2O, okay? Otherwise known as water. It's the largest component of the body. But yet we hardly ever, up until maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, we hardly ever saw or read anything that focused on hydration. It was always about, if you want to improve your quality of life, if you want to improve your health, you got to watch what? Your diet. That's all we heard about, was diet and exercise for the most part. And I'm telling you, wait a minute, that's not even the largest component. If the largest component of the body is the water, which is approximately how much? 75. Let's say 75% for the discussion's sake. So if 75% of your body is water, what is the maximum amount of the makeup of your body come from nutrition? Maximum. 30%. 25? 25% is the maximum amount. And that's if all of that went from the nutrition. 25% comes from nutrition. 75% comes from what? Water. What we consume in the form of a liquid. Now we say water, but what are most people drinking? Is it water or what? Sodas, coffee. Pop, coffee. Yeah. Who's going to throw beer out there, right? Okay? So we see all of these other things coming into our body, making up 75% of our body, and then saying, I don't understand why I'm getting sick. I don't understand why our family are getting sick. I don't understand why our society is getting sick. But we've never really focused on that largest component of the body, which is water. Enagic, a Japanese-based company, brought their technology to the United States and is now teaching us to take a look at the largest component of our body, which again is that water. So let's start off by understanding that if 75% of our body is made up of water, we better consider what type of water we're putting in there. Just because we say water makes up the largest component of the body, what if you're out there drinking pond water every single day? You going to be healthy? Probably not. Now, I'm not saying that the bottled waters that we drink is pond water, but do we really know what's in those bottled waters? Most of the time we don't. Now, granted, I'm sure it's not pond water, but I'm going to show you some factors that we need to consider. There's some other things that we're going to look at as we go through, but to start with, this is really a technology that I, in my business of over 22 years, having worked with some of the greatest professional organizations, including the Yankees, the Diamondbacks, Red Sox, and so on and so forth, it's a technology that I believe is more effective in affecting the health of a single body than anything else we can that's a pretty big statement. As we look at that, there are three things that I'm going to share with you tonight. We're going to talk about antioxidants. Can someone tell me what an antioxidant is? Not the actual definition of an antioxidant. Name an antioxidant is what I'm saying.
Hydroxy radical.
What is it?
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Antioxidant, sorry.
Okay, others?
Blueberries.
What's that?
Blueberries.
Blueberries, others? Strawberries. Almost all of your fruits and vegetables are great antioxidants. So I follow that up by asking a simple question. Do you believe that antioxidants are important to the body?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you also think that if we could get more antioxidants in the body, the better off we're going to be? Yeah. Because the more antioxidants we have, the better we are able to reduce the effects of free radicals, which are also oxidizing to the body. We're going to talk about alkalinization, and we're going to talk about microclustering. But let's start with, first and foremost, the antioxidation. When you hear oxidation and apply that to the body, most of you are thinking almost instantly of things like pollute, or I'm sorry, this one isn't. See if I have it up here. I don't know that I have it up here. When we talk about oxidizing the body, it's coming from things like pollution. Electromagnetic fields, cell phones, microwaves, TVs, physical stress, emotional stress, all those things that we talked about a minute ago, all of these things, chemicals, toxins. You know there are more chemicals today than there ever have before in the history of the world? Well, what do you think is going to happen next year? Is it going to get better? No, it's going to get worse. Okay? Now we can kick rocks and be sad and pout and complain, or we can say, you know what, it's going to get worse, so I better do my job a little bit better. Because it is going to. Chemicals in the air, chemicals in the food, and in some of the things that we're eating, chemicals that we don't even know about. Bad intake of fat, poor nutrient digestion. Well, antioxidants are the opposite of that. They are the things that neutralize these bad things, and they are in the form of, as we mentioned, fruits and vegetables, good fats, vitamins A, C, E, selenium, those types of things. But guess what? There's actually an even more potent antioxidant than any of them listed right there, which happens to be called negatively ionized or active hydrogen. Doesn't make much sense. Don't even know what that means. First time I heard it, I was like, means nothing to me. Well, the good thing is there's actually a meter that we can use, a little machine, if you will, that is able to measure the antioxidizing abilities or capabilities of various different liquids. It's very simple. It's used by a lot of industries. We can put it in these different liquids and see exactly, is it an antioxidant or is it an oxidant? If it's an oxidant, it is causing what? Oxidation, which increases, what kind of risks do you think are increased by oxidation? Anybody?
Cancer.
Cancer, number one. Cancer is the number one thing that is shown as a byproduct, if you will, of oxidation. So if we're talking just cancer, nothing else, do you think people are going to benefit by getting more anti, which is the opposite of oxidants? Of course they are. So let's just take a quick look here at whether these liquids are oxidizing or anti-oxidizing. We're not going to worry about the word ORP or any of that stuff right now. All I want to look at is, and you to understand is, if zero means it's not oxidizing, so it's not beneficial, but it's not anti-oxidizing, so it's not negative, it's not good, and it's not bad, that's zero. Anything on the positive side, and you're going to see these numbers, okay, you can see that it's a positive number right now, because the air in here, like most places, is more oxidizing than anti-oxidizing. So anything on the positive side is going to be oxidizing to the body. The higher the number, the more oxidizing it is, more damaging. Anything on the negative side, the higher it gets, the better it is. So let's start right down here with, let's start with regular old Evian. Okay? What do we have here? Can you read it from there? 196, positive number. Okay? What do we have here?
It's
still going. 179.
179, okay, so it's not as oxidizing, but it's still oxidizing. So to me, whether this number is 179 or 879 or 7.9, doesn't matter. It's oxidizing to the body. So don't get caught up in the number itself. Positive side, negative side.
Still moving.
Positive.
Yes,
Yeah.
positive.
190.
Okay, positive side.
Oh, here comes the fun now.
Ooh,
Oh, Jesus.
Sports drinks. What do we go up to?
236.
237. Again, whether it's 800, 200, 100, doesn't matter. Sports drinks are showing to be more oxidizing than some of these drinks right here. Let's try a soda.
Oh, boy.
What we're seeing now.
50.
Okay? So we can see as it climbs that those are oxidizing. Now let's see if we can get this to come down to a negative number. Please work, please work, please work. Where are we at?
Still dropping.
Still dropping.
Yeah.
It's going into the negatives.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the negative. Now it's going to start climbing back up. Depending on your source water, depending on a lot of different things, our technology creates a scenario to where it increases the amount of active hydrogen. Negatively, as I showed you a minute ago, anything on the negative side is anti-oxidizing. So they're negative 166 and climbing, 168, 169, 170, 75, and so on, and it's going to continue to climb. It simply shows us that all of these common poisons of waters of choice, okay, are oxidizing to the body. Now, does this help sustain life? No. Of course it does. If we don't have some water, we're going to die. But I'd like to say there's a difference between life sustaining and life giving. This sustains, this keeps us alive, but continues to increase our risks. This gives us life. This improves our chances of fighting those negative effects from cell phones, microwaves, TVs, electromagnetic fields, mental stress, emotional stress, physical stress, pollutants, toxins, fatty foods, cooked and processed foods, all these things that we're faced with every single day. Sugars. Sugar is one of the most oxidizing things that there is. So you see, right, just that alone, just if I said, presentation over, thank you, that alone we should be able to say, oh my gosh. Because in other countries, specifically the Asian countries, because smoking is such a problem, their antioxidant pills, they're selling for hundreds of dollars because people know the value of antioxidants. And I just showed you something that is multiple times more powerful, negative 400, 500, depending on your water source, as opposed to in comparison to vitamin C or green tea, vitamin A, selenium. Some of these are great antioxidants, but we've got it right here, literally at the lift of a lever, at the twist of a knob, at the flick of a switch. We have a technology that's able to give us those antioxidants that we need on a daily basis. Does that make sense a little bit so far?
Yeah.
So if there was nothing else, I look at that and I say, pretty darn good investment into my value, into my life. Okay? All right, let's go on and I'll make sure we answer all the questions. So if you have a question, keep it in your mind. We'll answer every single one of them. I do want to, before I go on, for people to understand, though, that there is a difference between an electrical antioxidant, so to speak, and a physical antioxidant. Physical antioxidants are also vitally important. Will you grab one of those boxes, Kimmin?
Yep.
Vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin E. You noticed a minute ago I showed you a chart that had a ORP, oxidation reduction potential. The word that I want you to draw your mind to is potential. This water will give you the greatest potential to reduce oxidation. Potential cannot be realized without the physical component also involved. The physical component meaning those fruits and vegetables that you eat, those blueberries that you were talking about, that vitamin C or those oranges that you were talking about, those strawberries that we eat with our smoothies, okay? Those are antioxidants that are physical in nature, vitamins, minerals, things like that. Vitamins, they are antioxidants. Minerals, they are antioxidants. Antioxidants, separate antioxidants. Okay, vitamin A, C, E, selenium, resveratrol, quercetin, bioflavonoids, all of these physical antioxidants together work in conjunction with the highest potential to reduce that oxidation. That's the best thing that we can do. So don't ever allow yourself to think, oh, all I got to do is drink this water and I don't have to worry about anything else. You still have to do your part. You still have to try and eat good, healthy, nutrient-rich foods. Is that fair enough? Okay. This thing is touchy. Okay, so next part, we talked about antioxidants. Now let's also talk about alkalinization. Living an alkaline lifestyle is very, very important. Been in this industry over 20 years. Working with the athletes, professional athletes, collegiate athletes, high school athletes, doesn't matter. One of our biggest battles is fighting against acidity. Athlete gets out there and runs and works out, and what begins to rise? Lactic acid. We've heard of that, right? As lactic acid rises, the body says, uh-oh, that's not what I want. That's not good, because lactic acid robs our body of oxygen. As we reduce oxygen from the body, all of a sudden, acid from other perspective is produced, and acid goes back up. And now we have an oxidation process going on, because it is oxidizing. We're reducing the oxygen, we're reducing its ability to repair, and also causing acid to rise faster and faster and faster. So things like lactic acid, and when we think lactic acid, we think athlete that's out there working around. How many of you have ever been sore from working in the garden over a weekend or somewhere else? How many of you have been sore by saying, New Year's resolution, I'm going to go to the gym? You ever been sore from that? Lactic acid. You ever been sore from sitting it the wrong way at your desk working on a computer and all of a sudden, man, I feel a little bit sore? Okay, lactic acid. Acid in and of itself is a natural process, but when it lingers around, that is when it becomes an issue. And as acid rises, so does our risks of acid-based diseases. Cancer, diabetes, and many others. So anything we can do to reduce that acid buildup, also known as alkalinization, we're alkalizing the body, is a good thing. So let's take a look at acidic conditions. Acidity, things that raise the acid in the body, foster things like acid reflux. Anybody ever had acid reflux? GERD's disease, gastroesophageal reflux disease. Raise your hand, not even if you've had it, but if you know anybody that have ever had gout. Know anybody? Okay, right? Arthritis, anybody? Okay. I don't care which one I go to here. Diabetes, anybody? We all do now. Okay? Diabetes. It's an acid-based disease. Acidic conditions foster things like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, headaches. All of those acid situations, scenarios, foster these types of sicknesses, illnesses, and diseases. So if that's the case, again, let's look at how can we reduce that. We can reduce that by doing things like getting away from acid consumption. Favorite slide of all right here. It's going to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Before I do that, let me just go ahead and, I'm going to do it a little bit backwards. Where are the pH drops? Okay,
They're in the far right drawer. Yeah.
I'm going to put a few drops in here, and then I'm going to pull up a chart. Everyone does this a little bit differently. I'm going to mix it up a little bit this time.
Dad, you want to move the ORP meter?
What's that?
I'm going to move the meter out of the way.
This? Okay, once you take a look at this chart, it's called a pH chart. That's telling you, that gives an indication of whether the liquid is alkaline or whether it is acidic. Okay, there's a chart that goes from 0 to 14. 7 is right in the middle, means it's neutral. Anything that shows up as blue is usually neutral. Not acidic, not alkaline. Anything that shows up green, yellow, or red, green, yellow, more yellow, closer to orangish red. The further down that chart it goes, the more the more acidic it is. Well, let me show you how acidic that is. Battery acid, we know, is a very high acid, right? It's going to burn a hole right through us. Well, the interesting thing is stomach acid is right there pretty close. It's just, it doubled to 2.0. So it's still pretty acidic. Anybody here, would you ever take some stomach acid and drink a little bit of it? Just a little bit, just a tiny swallow. Even if it was yours, would you do it then? What if I offered to pay you $100? Would you do it?
Nope.
Nope, wouldn't do it. Even if you didn't think it was gross, you wouldn't do it because why? You know it's very, very acidic. That's what stomach acid is. It's very, very, very close to battery acid acidic. We wouldn't do it, right? But, come on. Sports drinks are right there by it. Sports drinks are 2.4. If I pay you $100 to drink some sports drink, you drink it now?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Give me a six-pack. I'll drink it all. $100 a can, okay? Sports drinks, 2.4. Energy drinks, 2.5. Most of your sodas, 2.7 to 3.8. Bottled water, 4 to 6.5. Those are all acidic. Think about it. If 70% of your body is made up of this, are you going to be alkaline or acidic? You're going to be acidic. If 70%, 75% of your body is made up from sports drinks, you're going to be acidic. And the higher the acidity, the higher the risk of what? Disease. Specifically, acid-based diseases, such as cancer and diabetes. Okay, these are acid-based diseases, but yet we've never been taught this. Before being involved or hearing about enagic and alkaline water, have any of you ever seen a slide like this? Had any of you ever known that your sports drinks and energy drinks are right there next to your stomach acid in acidity? Most people didn't. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, and I didn't know it until about 9 years ago when this company came along and I said, finally, a company that's teaching us about alkalinity. I didn't know that much about it, and I'm in the industry. So we can make a difference. We can change that direction that we're heading in America, because I will ask you to think about it on a large scale, just the United States. Do we in the United States drink more alkaline ionized water like this, or do we drink more bottled waters and sodas and energy drinks and so on? It's simple. Guys, again, I'm in the industry. I didn't know it. But I look at this and I'm like, it is so simple. It really is. Sometimes the easiest things are right in front of our face. I'm telling you, as an expert in this industry, I believe that that cause increase in acid production is what is causing the massive increase in disease such as cancer, diabetes, and others.
How about tap water in relation to bottled water? Is that worse?
Good question.
Yeah.
Grab some tap water, Cayman. Let's test it. I will tell you exactly what it is. As he gets it, let me point out what you're going to see with tap water. You're going to see much of this right here. Okay? And that is, we're saying, well, wait a minute, that's kind of neutral. Go ahead and put some drops in there. You're going to see that tap water is neutral. Why? Because, much like we're seeing right here, much like we're seeing in the Evian, we can, and many companies are, I'm not here, so when this is replayed back to those other companies, I'm not here to badmouth other companies, but I will always tell the truth. And here's the fact. You can take any water. I could go back there in the toilet. I could get a cup of water out of that toilet, and I could add some minerals. Calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium in particular. I could add a few of those minerals, and I could come put some drops in here, and we could make it, we can make it alkaline. There is a difference between alkaline and what?
Alkalizing.
Alkalizing. You remember my words. There is a difference between alkaline, tap water, alkaline, by adding minerals in there. Now, why would the city or the municipality, why would they go through the effort and the expense of adding alkalizing minerals to the water that goes through all these pipes? Why would they go through that expense?
It has to be the right color when it's tested.
The water
by
will
scientific.
rust the pipes.
You got it. They know through testing that acidic water is so acidic, and it's not even to these levels, okay? It is acidic, and acidic water deteriorates the pipes that it runs through, so they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars in repair costs of the pipes that it was deteriorating because of the acidity. It was significantly less expensive to add some of these inexpensive minerals to make the water not as acidic, so now they're not deteriorating the pipes. Why in the world would they be so concerned about their pipes out there and we not be concerned about our pipes right here?
Medical industry gains with the water bottles.
Medical industry is interesting. We'll leave it at that. The key factor is this. You are going to be faced with walking out of here and seeing that there are right across the street at Walmart, there are now 5 or 6 or 7 different alkaline waters. And all that was done is tap water was taken, filtered into a bottle, and added a few what? Minerals to jump on the alkaline water bandwagon because they can sell it significantly higher than regular bottled water that they were selling a year or 2 or 3 ago. They're jumping on that bandwagon by adding some minerals in there. Keep in mind, alkaline water and alkalizing water are 2 completely different things. Alkalizing requires the presence of electricity and minerals. Without the electricity, you can't create the ionization process for a water to be alkalizing. So someone, for the first long time, I've always been someone that's more along the lines of natural. And for the first probably 6 months, as I was starting to talk about this technology, a lot of the people that followed me would say, Shan, I don't get what you're doing here. You're touting a machine that you have to plug into man-made electricity to make something. I thought you were all natural. So you think about it, all the waters that come down from the mountains and everything, if I'm saying it has to have electricity, do those waters have electricity?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Does it have an extension cord? Is it plugged in? Does it run through a machine? No. Where does that electricity come from?
The earth.
The sky. The lightning. Lightning creates that electricity to allow the ionization process that we have mimicked. I say we, the company has mimicked in a technology, so we can now have alkalizing water. Let me get all these mixed up. So that we can have alkalizing water as opposed to the acidic water. Now you can see here, we've gone very purple. Purple all the way down on the other end. All the way down here on this end, we're talking about a purple, which is right about in here, 9.5. That's what we called for in the machine. Fortunately, the machine can give you 8.5. If you don't want to have such high alkaline, 9.5. It can go all the way up to 11.5 if we want super alkaline water for some other things that we'll talk about later. It can go all the way up to 12.5 as an antimicrobial. There's so many different things that we can do. I'm sorry, 12.5 as an oil immersion. Okay, I mean we can actually dissolve oils on some of the things. I'll show you the second part of another one of our demonstrations. But anything we can do, again, to get away from acidity and more to alkaline. Does this make sense so far? Let me show you one other aspect. You know, I told you earlier, we can't just trust that all we got to do is drink water and everything's fixed and final. It's not. We have to also look at the other areas and find out what else is alkalizing. People don't realize that enzymes are one of the most alkalizing nutrients on the earth. I'm going to share with you how and why. So are probiotics, otherwise known as good bacteria. Those are all alkalizing to the body. Here's how. When we consume a food that is raw, it has enzymes in it. All raw food, because enzymes are what digests our food for us. Okay? Now to give you a visual, let's say we take a banana or an apple or a salad or whatever, we set it out in the sun, we come back 8 hours later, what's happening to that banana? It's getting mushy.
Deteriorating, yeah.
It's starting to get soft,
Yeah.
and okay, some call it rotten, whatever you want to call it. If you come back 4, 5, 6, 7 days later, it's mush and almost disintegrating over a period of time. Because enzymes are there to start that digestive process. Now you're going to see how this ties into alkalinity. Let's take something that is not raw, something that's cooked, because when you cook a food, you kill every enzyme in that food. So now it's not a banana, instead it's a Big Mac or a Whopper. Well, wait a minute, we don't eat stuff like that. So how about grilled chicken breast, right? Either one. If I take a Big Mac or a grilled chicken breast, set them out in the sun, come back 8 hours later, is that grilled chicken breast or that Big Mac, are either one of them getting softer?
No.
They're getting harder, right?
Yeah.
Because there are no enzymes to start that digestive process. Anything cooked or processed, you notice it doesn't start getting softer. I don't care what food it is, it gets harder. Because there are no enzymes. When we cooked it, we killed every one of those enzymes out of that food. But every food that's raw, you leave it outside, and over time it starts getting softer. It's a natural process. We take that into our body now. In comes the raw food, banana, fruits, vegetables, grains, raw meat, I don't care what it is. We chew it up, we swallow it. It comes down into this upper portion of the stomach. In that upper portion of the stomach surrounds it, secretes a tiny little bit of what's called hydrochloric acid, or also known as stomach acid. Tiny little squirt. That little tiny squirt activate the enzymes in those raw foods. Those enzymes, what's it going to start doing to that food in there?
Breaking it down.
Softening it like it did out in the sun, because now it's got a little tiny bit of acid with it. Those enzymes are softening it, breaking it down, getting it tiny, small enough to move on through the system. 30, 45 minutes later, drops the lower portion of the stomach, and all these little tiny foods now can move on through the system. Okay? See that in your mind? Now let's take the flip side real quick. Anything cooked or processed, healthy or unhealthy, I don't care. Big Mac or a grilled chicken breast, steamed vegetables, I don't care if it's cooked or no enzymes. We chew it up and swallow it, upper portion of the stomach. Upper portion of the stomach up here surrounds it, secretes a tiny little bit of what?
Stomach acid.
Stomach acid to activate what? Enzymes. But if that food was cooked, what is missing? The enzymes. So now, a little bit of stomach acid secreted, these big old chunks of food, healthy or unhealthy, is still sitting there, so the body says, wait a minute, something didn't work. I better secrete a little bit more what?
Stomach acid.
Acid.
Yeah.
About 5, 10 minutes later, these chunks are still here, and the stomach says, uh-oh, in about 10, 15 more minutes, it's going to drop down to here. I can't get these chunks through this tube. I better really flood the stomach with what? Acid. So by simply not having enzymes to start that digestive process, by us taking out those natural enzymes, the stomach says, whew, I've got to put a bunch of acid in there so I can melt it down small enough to get these chunks to go through the body. We just got through talking about the higher the acid, the higher the risk of what? Diseases. Guess what are 2 of the fastest growing cancers in America today? Colon cancer. So if I have this massive amount of acid going down through the body, we increase that colon exposure to acid, increase those risks. Guess what's the second, or another one of the top fastest growing cancers in America today? Esophageal. Esophagus. Acid, 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 acid starts backing up into here. We call that acid what? Reflux. Acid reflux. I promise you, there's not a person in this room, this city, this state, this country that's Pepto-Bismol deficient. I promise, it doesn't exist. There's no need for an antacid because enzymes are antacids. But we're fixing the problem, not just the symptom. When we have high acid and the body says, oh, I better take in or not the body, but when we say we got to take some Pepto-Bismol or Pepsid or any of these Zantacs.
The doctor will give you a purple pill on your prescription. You don't have to pay $47.
You got it. Nexium, okay? All those, what they're going to do is they're going to come in here and they're going to neutralize what? The acid. And all of a sudden we walk away saying, hey, much better. Did we fix the symptom or the problem?
Symptom.
Symptom. The problem's going to occur again 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours later when you do that same process. So now, that's the second part of what I teach in my nutrition side, is just because you are eating healthy food does not mean that you're giving your body the best ability to utilize those nutrients and to reduce that acid. So enzymes are vitally important to the utilization of the foods we eat and the reduction of acid. There it is. I'll give you a visual demonstration, and we'll close it out here in a minute. I want you to go on this journey with me real quickly. The pudding inside of here is whatever food you want to envision that's cooked or processed. You may say, hey, I'm envisioning, so I'm going to have cheesecake, and I'm going to have Big Macs, and I'm going to have fried chicken, and I'm going to have all this kind of stuff. Or you may say, nope, I'm just going to stay healthy, even in my mind. Grilled chicken breast, steamed vegetables, wheat bread, baked potato, whatever. That goes down into the stomach. The container is your stomach, and that's what we have. Okay, we have this food that are in these large chunks that are down there in the stomach. And even if I start giving it a churning around in there, we're still going to have those large chunks down there in the stomach. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take...
Dad, will you bring it out in front of your computer?
I'm going to take one capsule of the digestive enzymes. I'm going to put that in there. Stir it around here, get those enzymes. And again, what do enzymes do?
Break it down.
Breaks down the foods that we're consuming. Starts breaking it down into a form that the body can recognize rather than these large chunks. Cameron, has this pudding been sitting here for about 12 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
Jeez, it's like cement in there.
Really?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
She said that was there the other day. I would have eaten.
It's going to be interesting, okay? But we're going to let that sit for a minute or an hour. I'm going to set that right there. See if you have another one in there. If not, it's all right. We'll let it sit for a little while. But I want you to see that with enzymes, we neutralize or we break those foods down so the body doesn't have to all of a sudden secrete those high quantities of acid. That's the important part that I want us to think about and to look at.
It expires in 2016.
2016. Both of them? Are they both from the same one?
I think so.
Well, we're going to find out now.
Right, yeah.
Put it to the test. That's exactly right. Okay, so while we sit here and wait for that cement to unsolidify, okay, I want to talk about the last thing real quickly. Before I go there, are there any questions about the importance of being alkaline? Not necessarily how or whatever. We can get into some of that. But is there anything that I said or didn't say that didn't make sense about alkalizing the body? Do we all agree that we can at least see the value of being more alkaline as opposed to acidic? Anybody disagree with that or want to bring up a comment or anything else? Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, I don't know if this is also a subject, how does intermittent fasting or fasting affect acidity, or can it? Does it help improve it if you do that? If you're fasting or
question was fasting as opposed to eating more consistently on throughout the day. Okay, there are arguments on both sides. I will tell you, my wife does intermittent fasting, and she has done fantastic on it. She feels great. Her body weight is where she wants it to be. I tried intermittent fasting for about a day, hated it.
Does fasting get rid of the acidity in the body? Does it help?
It does not, okay? What it does do, though, is it reduces the amount of times that acid has to be secreted, but more so, and I don't want to get too far off the subject here, but the pancreas, every time foods are consumed, the pancreas produces, enzymes, okay, small quantities, but over a period of time, if it runs out of that ability to produce those enzymes, we start noticing things like food allergies. Food allergies, some people say I'm allergic to this or this. I do not believe in food allergies. Peanut is something different, a whole different thing. But I do not believe in lactose intolerance. I do not believe in gluten intolerance. I do not believe in any of these intolerances or allergies, because all it is the inability for the body to break that substrate down into a form the body can recognize. Almost always caused from the pancreas eventually being depleted from the ability to produce that or those enzymes. Let's take lactose intolerance. Lactose is consumed unless it's raw. Okay, you notice, interestingly, people that are lactose intolerant can drink raw milk. Why? What's the difference in raw milk and pasteurized milk? One has enzymes, one doesn't. So lactose intolerance is the pancreas's inability, eventually, from being able to produce that or those enzymes that break lactose down. So lactose comes in, no enzymes to digest it. The body says, uh-oh, something's not right here. I'm going to give you a signal, giving you heads up that this isn't working for me. That signal might be stomachache, might be constipation, might be diarrhea, might be breaking out. You notice there's all different kinds of lactose intolerant people saying, well, it shows up on my back. I break out really bad. Other people say, I don't break out at all. I just have constipation. Other people say, I don't break out at all. I don't have constipation. I just get a stomachache. Those symptoms, the body is a smart son of a gun, and it says, it's not working, so here's the symptom. We fix that symptom often, but I say let's fix the problem. The problem is we're not producing that enzyme anymore, or a minimal amount, so we either have to put it back in a supplemental form when we eat those types of foods, or we have to help the pancreas. Now, I tell you that whole thing to say this. Intermittent fasting has shown, evidence and research has shown, that intermittent fasting allows the pancreas to rebuild, having higher quantity of those enzymes, so when the food does come in, more enzymes are there to break that down. Not always the case. People that have adequate production of all of those enzymes, they don't notice the same value or benefit from intermittent fasting that someone else might. Okay? So it does help the acidity, but more so from pancreatic production and the rest thereof, rather than the lack of food. Does that make sense? Okay, one more comment, and then we'll move forward.
On alkalizing and the alkaline H2O water, somebody came to my house and said, Kathy, can I just fill up my water buckets? I said, that's fine. And they left behind, they said, here's the water bottle somebody gave me. So I called the 800 number and I said, I don't know if this water came from California or whatever, but I got a gift bottle of water. And I said, it says H2O. I said, is this good for 1 month, or how long is this bottle good? And they said, oh, it's good for 2 years. We put a chemical, we put additives into it. And I said, thank you, because I'm just from Minnesota and I don't know where to get, oh, you can go to Trader Joe's. I said, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
But just,
and they're right.
2 years? 2 years on a shelf? What do you mean?
But
ionized water is 2 years.
the reality is, they didn't say ionized water. They said alkaline water.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the difference. You can make acidic water alkaline by adding minerals, and minerals don't go bad. So 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, probably 10 years from now, you're still going to have alkaline water. It's not ionized and it's not alkalizing.
But it's still a
Major
plastic
difference.
bottle.
Well, I mean, there are so many different factors we look at. But you see what we're talking about, though? I don't blame any of those companies for trying to jump on that bandwagon and build off of a growing trend, and that is alkaline water. But hopefully we can help people understand that difference between alkaline and alkalizing. There is a difference, and that's what we really need to point out to people. Alkalizing water can change those other waters to purple very easily. But if those other drinks are too acidic, we're not going to change it. See how acidic these drinks here are? I haven't done the exact testing myself, but it takes approximately 21, some people say 24, some people say more, but equal quantities just to neutralize our 9.5. Just to neutralize it. Okay? So anybody that says, well, just one sip, one small drink, it's not really going to hurt me. I'm telling you it is. We've gone back to, oops, passing neutral now, all the way to what?
Acidic.
Acidic. Well, now you may say, yeah, but that was half acidic water in the first place. Okay, so let's go to a completely 9.5 9.5 high alkaline. That's how potent and acidic carbonated drinks and sports drinks and things like that are. My opinion, okay, there is no data or research that I know of, so this is 100% my opinion. I believe that it's things like this right here and other sugar-laden drinks that have caused a dramatic increase in the acidity of our society, which in turn has equally increased the number of sicknesses, illnesses, and diseases, namely cancer, diabetes, and some of those other acid-based diseases.
What about vitamin water? You mentioned that.
Vitamin water, in fact, I think we
Like
thought
the
we
one
had
that
one.
say there's no sugars or anything in it.
It still measures acidic.
Acidic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Now again, that's not to say, oh, it's bad for you, it's horrible. Okay, there might be good vitamins in there. There might be some life-sustaining. It's a hybrid. It's a liquid. Okay, but if you're looking at it strictly from acid versus alkaline, there's a big difference. And antioxidants. Let's say that one of these actually measured alkaline. Well, I showed you a minute ago that it is actually oxidizing from the antioxidant perspective. So we're looking at 3 different areas here that I think are important for us to look at. The last one, real quickly, I'll hit on real quickly, is that microclustering part. Microclustering is actually just a descriptive term. It's not a medical term. It's not a legal term. It is literally just a descriptive word of saying, if we can take water, which we know through research, tap water, bottled water, has water molecules that clump together. They can go anywhere from a small amount all the way up to these large amounts of several hundred molecules clumping together. Well, those water molecules have to get into our tissue for actual hydration. If the molecules are clumped together and they're huge, they're not going to make it through the tissue for true hydration. If we can break those molecules up from larger to smaller, also referred to as microclustering, the better off we're going to be. Same thing with the foods that we're eating. When we talk about microclustering, we're talking about taking larger chunks and breaking it down into smaller chunks. Someone give me let me ask this question real quickly. We're going to close this out in about 10 minutes, okay? Who can tell me, most people can't, so don't feel bad if you can't. When you eat something, whether it be a hamburger or a good, healthy chicken breast, how are those nutrients transferred or carried throughout the body and delivered to the site? What does that? Anybody?
Water.
No, not the water.
Your blood.
The blood, okay, which is made up mostly of water, so you're actually right to some degree. But inside the blood, which is made up mostly of water, there's something that actually picks up the nutrient and carries it and delivers the nutrient.
Cells.
Which ones?
Cells. The round ones.
Red blood cells. Red blood cells carry every single nutrient that you utilize in your legs, your arms, your brain is carried to that area by a red blood cell or red blood cells. Okay? So if that's the case, Andrew, show me how big a red blood cell is real quick.
I don't even know.
Right?
Yeah, they can't. Micro.
We don't know. Anthony, can you show me?
No.
We can't do it. Because it's so, wait a minute. So that burger has to get broken down how small for it to even get carried and delivered anywhere in the body. You starting to see? Every time you put a food in your mouth from this point forward, you've got to think in your mind, this thing has to get broken down so small to get picked up by the red blood cell and delivered to my legs. So when I go out and do my workout or go out and run or walk or whatever I'm doing, it's got to be carried to the brain so I have good mental clarity. It's got to be carried to my arms and my chest and my lungs and everywhere else. It has to fit inside a red blood cell. So if we're chewing up food, swallowing it, and sitting in that proportion, only to hope the acid softens it just enough to move it on through the system, how much of those nutrients are we actually utilizing? Minimal. So what is it that takes a food from this to mushy and soft and small? Enzymes. And I told you every time we cook any food, we kill what?
Enzymes.
So those people that are eating the healthy diet of grilled chicken breast, baked potatoes, steamed vegetables, and some wheat bread, how much are they actually utilizing within their body? We don't know, because it's dependent upon their body's production of whatever they can of enough enzymes and low enough acid to move it on through the system. How many of you know somebody that eats healthy food all the time, but they're always sick? We see it all the time. We know those people that say, oh, I eat the healthy stuff, but yet they've got a cold, or they got a flu, or they're overweight. They can't get rid of some of the weight they want to get rid of. I see it on the field all the time. There are certain ball players that eat that balanced, good, healthy diet, but yet they can't stay on the field as long as the guy that's eating the cheeseburgers all day long. It's not always what you consume. It is what your body can or cannot break down and utilize. I would take an individual or an athlete that completely breaks their food down and utilizes it, but doesn't eat very healthy. I'll take that athlete over the one over here that eats very healthy, but doesn't break his food down very good and doesn't digest it very well. This athlete will have better results almost every single time. You always hear me talk about athletes. I will tell you this. We are all athletes on our own field of play. We all have that same desire as a professional athlete to be better at whatever it is we do. Whether it's at work, whether it's at church, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's whatever it is, we always want to do better than we did last time on the field, right? That's human nature. We should always be striving. So since we're all athletes on our own field of play, we need to understand how do we get the best utilization out of the foods that we can eat. We look at this right here, guys. Here's the interesting part. This is fun. That's 180 days old.
I believe it.
Still looks the same. Probably still tastes the same, quite honestly. Okay? That looks the same 180 days later. College student or college class did this as a project. 12 years. That is 12 years old. Look at the branding.
Yeah.
You gonna fix that, Kim?
Yeah.
Look at the branding up there. He'll fix that. 12 years old. Here's my point, though. Remember, there were two burgers, and one here that was 6 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
What if 12 years ago we would have put a grilled chicken breast right in the middle, right there? Okay. Well, now grilled chicken breasts, obviously, those were healthy. That's good. That's not like a hamburger. What would we see right here, right now, 12 years later?
Same thing.
Grilled chicken breast. Why? Because when we grilled it, what did we kill?
Kill the enzymes.
Killed all the enzymes. So the grilled chicken breast's ability to be broken down is no better or worse than either one of those other burgers.
How do you cook a chicken then without killing the enzyme?
You don't.
Eat it raw.
You don't.
You gotta take a supplement.
That's why I'm here. You do. Sushi. No, you're right.
Yeah, sushi's good.
You're right. And we laugh about that. I lived in Japan for 2 years. I go to China. I had been last year. I probably went 8 times. And when I go over there, I'm able to do testing. And guess what? The Chinese people and the Japanese people are able to break their protein down significantly higher and better based on our research, on the stuff that we look at, than anybody here. Why? What's the difference in the protein they eat and the protein we eat?
Raw.
Theirs is raw, so it has. Ours is cooked, so it has no enzymes. So it's as simple as, and I would love to be able to say, you know, this is the only enzyme. Guys, there are other enzyme companies out there. My job is not to say, you gotta buy mine. It's to simply say, you as an individual, I hope you can walk out this door and say, you know what, I understand that to reduce the acidity in my body, I need to drink alkalizing water. I need to get access to good digestive enzymes. This is what I have done and specialized in for over 20 years, so I believe that we have as good or better than anything else that's out there. But you should be taking a good blend of digestive enzymes and probiotics every day when you eat a cooked or processed food. If you sit down and have a salad, guess what you don't need? Because what's in that salad? Enzymes. But if you order a salad with grilled chicken breast and croutons and cheese and dressing, what should you take? A digestive enzyme to break those things down so your body doesn't have to secrete all the acid. The acid stays lower, and with reduction in acid, will reduce those risks of disease, sickness, illness, those types of things. So from my perspective, there are 2 things that every single person should do. Okay, and I know, perfect example, you guys, your team is in California, okay? Whether they purchase a technology, a machine or not, it's not going to benefit us one bit, other than the fact that our mission is to help teach people how to improve that quality of life. And what is it? Rising tides rise all ships, isn't that the name of it? Okay? That's why we opened this center, so that we can invite in people from other teams and other groups and other areas from around the country. That's the same thing, okay? From around the country to come in here and learn about this technology for us to be able to say we're working as a team to change that landscape that we are seeing killing people in America and around the world right now. Just to close it out, I'll show you our studies show with our enzymes and probiotics, we increase the breakdown of protein by 30%. That's a significant increase. Carbohydrates by 500%. People ask me all the time, Shan, are you a fan of a high carbohydrate diet? Yeah. Are you a fan of a low carbohydrate diet? Sure, okay. How about high protein? Yeah, I guess so. How about low protein or high fat or low fat? Yeah, sure. Carbohydrates are not killing us, guys. Undigested carbohydrates are killing us. Carbohydrates are one of the hardest things to digest. We have to make sure that we're putting those enzymes back into the daily diet to break those carbohydrates down to be utilized. In the average diet, we showed that just enzyme supplementation by and of itself can increase the breakdown 500% or 5 times. That number was way beyond anything we had ever even thought or expected. Okay? Lastly, that's what we're looking at right there. I believe that that is a perfect combination. You got your alkalizing water, provides the highest form of anti-oxidizing capability you can possibly get. It breaks those molecules down into a smaller form for higher absorption. You get your core health packs, your digestive enzymes and probiotics so that you're getting your physical antioxidants and your digestive enzymes. That is, I believe, the most effective way for us to be able to really reduce that production of acid. And I think that in and of itself is going to reduce many of those sickness, illnesses, and diseases that we're seeing and that we're facing every single day. So with that, I will open up for questions. Any comments or questions? Don't feel like you're going to hurt my feelings. I've done this for a lot of years. So if you have a question or a comment like, well, that didn't make sense, that sounded stupid, that's okay. Because my job is to provide the information. Your job is to take it out, think about it, apply it into your body however you decide to. If we get to help and be part of that, we're happy to. And if not, that's fine too. Yes, sir.
How quickly should someone notice if they start taking your supplements?
How quickly should someone notice if they start taking the digestive enzymes? Actually, I didn't even do this yet. I will answer that question. Let me show you real quickly though. Okay, this was like cement, and I was really worried if this was even going to happen. But when we take enzymes into our body, this is what we're going to get.
Woo-hoo!
Okay, and if this wasn't 3 years old expired, that will literally turn to just like liquid water within about 5 minutes. Okay, so
I'm gonna explain really quick. He wasn't here when you first did that. So when he opened, okay, good, that's good, perfect.
Okay, so question about how soon will you notice? If you're doing it with something like, for instance, colic. Colic in a baby is one of the easiest things to fix, and I will make that statement right here in front of anybody, anytime, because colic is nothing more than a clustering or a lack of digestion. You know when a baby spits up and you have those chunks? We can take that chunk, we can put it in a little bowl like this and add a little digestive enzymes to it. Whoosh, breaks down, I mean it just goes straight to liquid. So my point is, colic in a baby is almost always their way of saying indigestion, heartburn. Take half a capsule in a syringe, shake it up with some 9.5 water. The average person, if you have acid reflux, heartburn, indigestion, something like that, you can notice the difference almost immediately. The biggest difference you're going to notice, though, is an increased utilization of the foods that you're eating. So when we're consuming, let's say you consume 2,000 calories, but your body's only using 500, you're going to get hungry a lot faster because your body only used 500, the rest of the other 1,500 was moved out. If we can take that same 2,000 and use 1,500 of them, one of the biggest things that we get comment on is, I'm eating the same amount of food, but man, I'm not hungry at all. I could go longer without being hungry again because we're using more of those nutrients. So every person is a little bit different, but I will tell you when it comes to anything, acid reflux, heartburn, indigestion, bloating, gas, that type of stuff, you're going to notice a difference within a few days.
So you should, every time you eat, should you take the vitamins then?
Every time you eat something that is cooked or processed.
Is it those vitamin packs or that?
I don't think we have one of these open. You don't have any packs up here.
Yeah, no, I have the packs. I was just
Okay,
looking,
the packets are 3 capsules. One of those 3 capsules is this.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're taking the pack with that meal, you're getting your enzyme. We sell these separately so that when someone eats, let's say you sit down and you have a steak, heaven forbid, okay, you want to add an extra enzyme in there. Or you're eating 3 times a day, you're only taking 2 packs a day, that third meal you should take one with that. You get acid reflux or heartburn late at night, you take one of the digestive enzymes with that. Okay? So, other questions?
Does it increase the effectiveness to double the dose of your enzymes?
It does. Only if you're eating,
like you just said, more.
right, exactly. Yep. You're not going to notice a big difference if you're eating, you know, a egg. You're not going to notice that big of a difference between 1 capsule and 2 capsules.
So even when you cook an egg, you're getting rid of all the nutrients?
Absolutely. Yeah. Enzymes will live up to 118 degrees, 118, which is really, I mean, you can't even, someone says, well, I eat my steak rare. Well, you're still well above 118, even if you're eating it rare.
Even a hard-boiled egg, you're still losing.
Well above 118.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to
Question up here.
Question. So we're talking about the ionizing of the water. What about as far as minerals like fluoride and things like that? What about that?
Good question. In the technology, there's a filter. Okay. Now there are 2 different things. This is just your basic filter that is going to filter out any of your impurities and things like that. But we almost always try and teach a pre-filter, and the company actually has pre-filters. Those usually will go under the sink. Those are, depending on your area, you can get a water report. Like if you're here in Mesa, you can get a water report that the company or representative from the company can show you which pre-filters you would need to filter out, whether it be fluoride or high calcium or low calcium or whatever it is. Your pre-filter for a well would be different than your pre-filters that is coming from city water. So yeah, the pre-filters as well as the filter that we have built in here, you're going to filter out most of those things. Now, you're going to get some people that say, that's not true because fluorine cannot be filtered out of a filter. And I am quickly to say, you're right. Fluorine, however, which is different from fluoride, fluorine is the gas portion, the negative portion of fluoride that causes the damage. It is actually killed in the ionization process. That electrical process kills the fluorine, so the water that comes out that you're drinking has no fluorine in it. And we actually have that data research as well.